Welcome back to Tiny T Gaming. This is a quick playthrough of Bannerlord, playing as the Khuzaits. Just a quick playthrough really, because I put so many hours into the Bannerlord playthrough, which is still unfinished, which is slightly frustrating, but it doesn't matter. So I just thought I would quickly get back on Bannerlord with the war sales coming out soon, and thought I'd play as the Khuzaits because they do offer some of the best archer cavalry, and you typically can have a really good early game with it because you have access to missile cavalry straight away, and then your speed around the map is better, and you have a better chance of winning against the looters and the small bands that will grief you basically. So I just thought I'd give it a go, just to make my recommendations as I play for those who haven't played Bannerlord much or
under my orders,
I would say.
And forgive them
if you're playing as a cavalry-based faction like the Khuzaits, I would definitely look to get past this early stage, get onto the tier 2 units, because you have the choice of upgrading your initial nomads or basically your peasants, the Khuzait peasants, either as infantry or cavalry, and they go straight to being missile cavalry. Even if you have a smaller faction or party, I should say, go and get the horses that you need and upgrade those you can, because you will straight away get access to better speed around the map. You will win more fights typically, even if you get knocked unconscious, where usually the AI is useless and usually ends up just throwing your units, even your missile units, just straight into the fight, which is really annoying because you could have a really good party that has some high level individuals and you could have some really good experience and loot, and then it just gets thrown away because a lucky spear throw or arrow just hits you and knocks you out. I do play with my companions being able to be killed, and the whole birth and death cycle, just that element of realism, because if no characters ever age and die off, if you do play a really long run through, you're constantly fighting the same people, and you get massive penalties for executing captured lords and ladies, and it just turns everything against you, and even your own allies will buy you from their castles and towns, which is meant to end up just being like, even if you're in a faction, really low influence and you have really altitude to create an army, and it's just so they enter the game so that you get penalised for executing prisoners, which, I get that from the morality side, but the actual game side of it just means that as soon as you release a lord, you end up with them running and pumping out another army straight away, because the whole diplomacy is a bit twisted as well. I usually play with the diplomacy mod on, just so that you can form alliances. You have cooldown periods between declaring war, and you can just have a better control, especially if you are a faction leader. But obviously this is way ahead of this playthrough. I've never go through on a full playthrough. This is just for pure enjoyment and given some tips and tricks along the way. I did manage to win this first skirmish, but it took quite a bit, and the only reason I did win was because I had 2 of my soldiers were cavalry, so they kept harassing the looters really nicely, but not get sucked in themselves, because you tend to find infantry in this game just gets eaten up, and if you're fighting a unit like the Sturgeons, you've got no hope because they're so heavily armoured. You end up just sending even your best units, if you've got top tier units from like the legionaries or whatever, you just get absolutely chewed up, and then you loads of them killed and not wounded. So then even if you win that fight, the next fight you're struggling because you don't have that infantry corps to hold the enemy force in place, if you're mostly relying on skirmish units or ranged missile units, regardless of whether they're infantry or cavalry, because you can't fix the enemy force in place, their cavalry units will just come and hammer you. So I pulled on this quick go, I pulled my 2 units back because they weren't firing, and it got really frustrating. So then I told them to charge. I guessed that they were out of ammo, and then I told them to just keep doing what they were doing, but it takes such a long time, especially in this early stage where your units are less aggressive and less effective as well. But it's all progress. I got knocked down, which was a mild relief because then I can speed up the battle. Just watch my 2 cavalrymen take ages to kill one looter who just but it was done. And even though I lost quite a few of my men, it was a win. As you can see, I did turn them into infantry. That was just for time and convenience because I just wanted to get on with it. Because if I got attacked again, I was worried that I would just keep having low level units before I could recruit better ones, and I didn't want to end up getting taken prisoner because it is so frustrating when you do. Like really frustrating. So I went around doing what you'd always do in Bannerlord in the early game. Went around clearing out small bands of looters and just leveling up my party slowly with that. Now, it does the job, but if there was a way that I knew to just speedrun this, I would absolutely do it, because when you've played like 1,000 hours of Bannerlord like I have, it takes its time. But this is all really just a refresh before War Sales come out. I believe I did read it up or watch another YouTube channel, probably Jackie Fish, saying that your playthrough won't be carried on to your previous saves when the War Sales DLC comes out, so everyone will have to go and start a brand new playthrough again, which is less than ideal, but it doesn't matter, because if you've got an outstanding playthrough, ideally you're winning anyway. So the factions that you would then get access to is the sea or naval assets might not exist if you've already wiped some of them out or most of them out. So I do get it, and there's probably compatibility as well. Like, it would take a lot for the developers to patch it in where you can carry on your previous playthrough. I mean, I remember when this game was fully early access for ages, and I would end up just restarting playthroughs when new patches came out, because I couldn't carry them on with the new patches running, which did get frustrating. But this game is 5 years old now, so it's a thing of the past, apart from when the DLC comes out. It will be interesting though. I am looking at some other mods as well. Eagle Rising's always a good one. I know there is the Old Realms Warhammer mod, and then there is a like Napoleonic era mod that I am looking at, but I will only really play them and post them on my channel if they do run smoothly, because some mods need patches constantly, and then I really enjoy the mod scene on this game, but it's sort of just waiting to see what works and then getting the time to play it as well, because obviously I am a very amateur YouTuber and it takes time trying to showcase your hobby off, but that's fine. As you can see now, I'm just clearing out these bandit camps because it's a really good way of farming XP for your party and getting a good amount of loot, and then managing to just level up your party overall is really good. I use them quite a lot, and it's a good way of getting money, because the cost of running a party, even of 20 reasonably high level soldiers, is quite expensive in this game. Can't remember if it's always that expensive, but it is now, and you have to really keep on top of your finances, because you do run out of cash quick. That's why I'd recommend if you're going to play as, well, regardless of which faction you play as, I'd recommend signing on as a mercenary, even for a little bit with the party, especially if they're at war. Usually, well, you can only really sign on as a mercenary if they're currently at war, but then you can stay with them when they're not at war, and then from there you can get money from defeating small bands of bandits all the way up to the fighting and pitch battles. I chose not to have all my soldiers get stuck in on this duel just because I don't want to lose any after not losing any during the initial clear out of the bandit camp. But the weapons, I can't remember what that weapon is, the two-handed staff. They're really lethal and they inflict a lot of damage, so you've got to be careful not to get caught within them. And at this low level, they're always a lot quicker than you are. So if your shield's poor quality, they can damage it and then, or break it, and then they can whittle you down because they'll catch you quicker than you can hit them. You tend to find that a lot in this game. You'll be fighting someone and they always strike you quicker. I don't know why that's the case, but it is how it is. But yeah, so got the loot. Always recommend that. Just sell it straight away. Crafting in the smithy is a good way of getting funds as well. It all depends on what your game type is, but you can get pretty much $1,000 for a really low level 200 sword, which is really good. Or you can just craft knives and spears. I think that's like the most cost effective and get you the most gain for smithing, but it is just what you prefer. Now, if I do carry on this playthrough, I want to just get to the point where I take one castle or town and then that's it, because the annoying thing is, as I said previously, you can't carry on your save in the new DLC that's coming up on 17th of June, so it's almost like if you've completed already, there might not be a point really starting again until you get the DLC. Obviously, if you haven't played Bannerlord before, I'd massively recommend it. It is a really good game and it's very in-depth. It will soak up a lot of your free time, but if you enjoy gaming like I do, that isn't really a problem. And then it would just be interesting to see how they put in the new faction of the Nords for war sales, because the Nords were in Warband. But obviously Bannerlord is set 200 years prior to Warband, so it's like starting to progress the timeline for the setting, I guess. They could do so much with this engine though, because this would work for doing a real historically accurate playthrough of Genghis Khan, or you could alter the mechanics of the parties and have it as real world medieval history or ancient Rome, anything really, because like the mods do, it does work. I think it would just be good to have, if you did have something like ancient Rome, or you were playing as Romans, then you actually have officers that are more effective, because even when you give a lord command of a subunit, they end up just charging or holding off and charging, and there's a lot easier ways. If you have like a Roman unit, you could have like an officer in charge of the infantry, and then or multiple centuries of infantry, and then that would be really interesting to see. But like then again, you could easily turn this model, this engine, into something like, I don't know, Warhammer 40,000. That'd be really interesting to see, where you've got making your own war bands of Space Marines or traitor Space Marines. That would be insane, I think, and I've spoken to my friends about this a lot and they agree it would be really good to see. But that concludes the episode. Like and subscribe. Please let me know what you want to see in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.